Ski, officers, on the side. Second. Okay, for more second, the all those say
Aye.
same motion pass. On amendment 3B2. Eric?
Yes.
Ski, Kylie? So act 15 facilities
would this that is approved by city officials. That act would take effect grant out as zoning. Install of how to conduct joint meeting.
City
kind of it's been a period of years.
So solar conversion. Before to run my from or that people can ask if they we will go proponent a case finish it out. Okay. Take over.
Anyway, the subject property is located about 1 mile west of Sioux Falls, right along 268th Street. It's a 140-acre parcel, as you can see there on the map on the screen right now. Just a brief summary of what the project would entail is up to 100 acres was included in the applicant's narrative that would potentially be covered with solar panels or the solar energy conversion system. how we got to tonight, as you've received the, go back, 30 members of the public appealed the decision of the Joint Sioux Falls and Minnehaha County Planning Commission on conditional use permit 1444. It provided a copy of the appeal letters, opposition letters, and minutes from the Planning Commission meeting and the elected officials meeting that was held on October 28th. Staff report, site plan location map, and the project narrative, and the rest of the petitioner's information on the proposed project. Also, several property owners have submitted letters of concern about the impact the proposed project will have on the aesthetics of the landscape, property values, roads, and visual site. The letters also indicated concerns over this use of the land, proximity to residential homes, unsightliness of a 6-foot-high chain link fence around the perimeter, long-term maintenance, and the resale value of their property. As I mentioned, the petitioner's information is also included on the proposed project. And over time, staff has met with Geronimo Energy about an update that they're continuing to meet with landowners to address their concerns, and specifically the landscape plan. If you skip forward. Because right here, as you can see, has been revised over time to include a couple extra rows of trees that would mainly consist of lilacs, maples, and red cedars, encompassing about 8,000, a little over 8,000 feet around the fence, which is, as you can see from the map, it's a little bit difficult to tell, but it's about 500 feet from the south, and it's similar from the eastern property boundary. And of course, the other ones would be right on the west and the north, right on that property line of this quarter section. On November 24th, 2014, the County Planning Commission voted unanimously 5-0 to approve the conditional use permit to allow solar energy conversion system. And the City Planning Commission also voted unanimously on the item. This is a cross-section of what the panels themselves would look like in terms of the vary, as the applicant has mentioned. This is a case study that the applicant provided over in Collegeville, Minnesota, St. John University Solar Farm. It's just going through some more images. The applicant has also indicated that there would be some form of low-growing seed mix that would be planted to the panels themselves, which should roughly about 43,000 solar panels, as was indicated in the narrative. In between those is growing in between. The applicant indicated that they would utilize either a fixed tilt or a linear axis tracking system that would follow the sun throughout the day. This is a project interconnection vicinity map. As you can see, the yellow area is where the project location would be. The red line, as you can see, it would run up to County Highway 148 and run to the east to connect with the existing interconnection point at 41st and Ellis, or 267th Street. If we skip forward here, this is a map that was included in the narrative of all the occupied structures in 1/2 mile. And just some of the pictures that I took of the proposed site, the view south taken less, I think early was planning here forward. It's just 48th and this time. This is the start 60, which is the south. Again, that same side. I'm looking from this being back the here. And here's the property mile to the vicinity map. Show those that were a mile to the west. This is their view of the subject parcel. And again,
Daggers.
Yes. I get a question about three.
And also and there were some concerns of the neighboring landowners in the community, so we provided those to address those concerns and issues. An additional tree around the solar project site itself, outside the fence, for additional screening. And that would be a type of species that would grow to at least 6 feet within 2 years to help out. Some of the other mixes would maybe not get that tall right away, but over time would get that.
A low energy source. So this is just Orinoco, and it is 130 feet away from the project site. And so this one is a good picture because it is a fixed tilt, which stands about 12 feet tall. Tracking is about 10 feet tall, and you'll see some pictures there. But we thought this was a good starting picture, one, because it is in Minnesota, so it is in the Midwest. And you can kind of see that the profile or the impact on the video. So these are, I don't know if they're in your packet or not, but we have copies here. But this is a site in Ontario, Canada. So we are on the north side of it, and it's 160 feet, and we are 425 feet facing it. So as you can see, you can kind of see the black line, be the back. And we are exactly half a mile west of the project. So this is a view that you see half a mile west of a project. What you can see, if you look, you can kind of see white boxes. Those would be and then pictures a sense like a closer to kind of give you that view. And so here's another project. It's about 80. This is the other that's on both sides. And again, these are you can see is a good indicator for you to understand what the visual impact will be with the landscape. None of these have a visual buffer. None of these are landscaped around. This is 100 and I believe 30 feet, or no, 205 feet from the road, and this is in Denver. So
site itself is down a low-growing native prairie grass mix, so it is very, wildlife friendly. We talk a lot about, the types of growth that isn't going to get too high to shade the solar panels, but is also able to provide a good barrier and help protect runoff of the soil as well. To the Land Commission along and a majority of the eastern property fence line of the solar project, there would be previously 3 rows, but now with that additional row that was added, there would essentially be 4 rows.
4 rows?
Around that perimeter, and then the remainder of the site would have 2 rows.
Okay. Now, those are outside the fence.
A little bit of a setback from the fence as well.
I can just ask another question here. What was the primary reason for getting this site? I mean, there's a lot of places in South Dakota you could build this. Is there any particular reason why this site?
Yeah, this site in particular, it's close to the demand where Sioux Falls is continuing to grow, so we need to be close.
Typical fence property like this to protect your own asset, is that what you normally would do anyway?
Right, it's just primarily for insurability and protection of the site. It's similar to any type of protective fencing.
And the reason I asked that question, there is the condition that a 6-foot fence be put in, and you mentioned the greenery that would be planted and how it's good for wildlife. Not much wildlife's going to get into a 6-foot high
Lose how much per month from
dissipate.
Lose it. Do you lose 1%, 10 miles? Do you use 20% in?
You have it with Oh, yeah, just if I could, I'm just, it's, when you make a comment that the building area, the division is, you agreement almost have the, in this, and we need diameter. You've been in your with an
smaller than the project. Okay, if I may, the pictures seem to show interest like that.
The technology is designed in a way to reduce activity, and additionally, there's kind of a big understanding of the reflectivity and glare issues within the solar industry. So the technology is designed to absorb as much sun as possible. We probably want to have less reflectivity than anybody else, particularly because of that. So they're designed with dark material. They are also designed, their glass is textured, which also reduces any type of reflectivity. There's also an anti-reflective coating, and some panels have 2 or 3 layers of that to absorb it as much as possible. And as the technology gets better, it needs to get more efficient, absorb more light with what it has, and create more electricity. And so I think a really good way to think about this is if you think about a skyscraper and the amount of light you would see coming off of that building. That does not have any anti-reflective coating. It does not have textured glass. It is not designed to absorb. So that's not what you're going to see here. And then on kind of the broader spectrum of how the solar industry works is that was just updated. There are over 500,000, or over 500,000 homes and commercial businesses with rooftop solar, and that's not including any of the utility scale. So these facilities or these arrays are going on people's homes, And if there are serious glare issues surrounding that, they wouldn't be going in on homes and into neighborhoods. And that might be kind of obvious, but I feel like that's important to note. You're not looking at any.
Erickson.
Thank you. I just was reading through some of the previous notes from the meetings from September, and I have a few questions. I don't know if they're all for you or if David might need to answer. We are referring here a hard
Requirements usually very minimal, if not that we find them. Other permitting processes, we have no permitting, or many of them have not had any landscape requirements. From our opinion, especially with the distance from homes, especially the half-mile distance to the west, this is the most landscaping that we have been required to do.
Okay, two quick other ones. I think I debris is a new adjacent stores on to create it's based and then to kick. Not quite do with that. Can you tell me impact analysis
what would happen if, with guarantee of some sort, to sell this energy?
I think you're correct, but if I'm wrong, just let me know. I think I was just thinking about that cost to power me too. I wouldn't.
The distance.
Yes. We have so there are two properties on the right. On the east side, the one to the north, that one, yep, there is 250. The house is 254 feet to the property line, and then the house south of that, oh boy, I think it was 300 and some to the trees. And if you look at the houses on the south, so if you go to the southeast corner, down, that's good. That one is 246 feet from the property line, but 727 feet from the structure. I don't know if you care about the property line or not, but the one in the middle is 734 feet from the structure, and the one on the far left is 640 feet from the structure.
Okay, and
That is assuming kind of in in
whether but it's really and Jordan kind of alluded to some of the native prairies and whatnot, but we have been researching the pollinator program through the USDA, and so we're working with them currently on trying to develop either a seed mix that meets their pollinator program or is able to at least incorporate some of the pollinator forbs and grasses that would be appropriate for butterflies and for bees.
Councilor Kiley.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions as well. Can you tell me how long three and so and Councilor had already my question regarding track selling, so I get information about how
but I want to hear what's happening. Is here now at an area they could use a farm. They can parameter that in the local and agencies can go and try to project somebody like myself. That stand. They can get. We should think about the context. This should be in our community and state and guide. Way. Worry about the ability. If solar in our bank, we want it to be us. It, I think.
And look at the maps. The order that I have found, and maybe doesn't matter, but it's access line and is it anywhere in the project and with that way.
Not aware.
So probably you didn't get a letter. Does anyone up here know? You know?
Councilor Jameson.
If you remember, I think it does go right up by the landfill, so it's further west than this,
Okay.
right?
Geographically disabled.
under electric utility. There is an running to their states of all I think after is require or other is as obligor and the some
To question.
to the east. I would like to echo Mr. Schaefer's comments as thanking you for the time. This is the second time this has been up in front of this this body. Look at the pictures of the road. If you've seen them on your own, you can just tell. I mean, ask yourself, would I want to live next door to this? We can all draw our own conclusions on that. And the kind of buffering they're talking about, you know, the pictures I saw, I didn't see any houses in, haven't seen those until tonight, but, you know, I don't think that's the kind of thing people generally want to live by. We're not convinced that the buffering they're talking about is going to address that issue. And respectfully, the applicants can stand installation went in right now and compare it to the price, the value of developmental property, which is what they want to use it for. And this is pretty good developmental property. You know, just to give you an idea of how close this is to existing residential development, on the map there, you can see the highlighted area that shows the property where that installation is going to go in. My client's property is the quarter right next door to it to the east. Then you've got one more quarter of land, and then you have existing residential development at the corner of the TLS Road and 57th Street. So the pictures that were shown, if you'd have looked east, you should be able to see the corner of 57th and TLS, and there's houses there. It's logical to assume that almost completely residential development is going to continue to the south and to the west, and it's going to continue to be residential. That's been the nature of it so far. So it is prime development property, and the study concludes that, you know, we went over these at previous hearings. I'm not going to go over the details low crop is for a long period of time anyway. I can answer the question about the Dakota Access Pipeline. When the pipeline was first, the notices came through, and my client got notices that they were in the proposed corridor. And the corridor was ultimately moved west to get away from the urban development areas of Sioux Falls and T. So it's now pushed over somewhere closer to the landfill. And we would submit to you that that area is a much more appropriate area for this type of an installation. It's not right next to existing residential development areas. The landfill is there. There's an Excel substation going in. I'm not an electrician, but it seems to me if there's a substantial amount of electricity going through a substation, then the power from a solar facility would be able to go there just like the power from a coal burning power plant or anything else. To address Councilor Jameson's question, if this was going in my neighborhood, where would I want it? Well, I would want it in a place that it would be consistent with existing uses and the uses that you can reasonably and logically expect to be in the area. And I think that that's a lot further west, well, not even a lot further west, just a few miles further west than it is right now. I'm not going to repeat what Mr. Schaefer said about the disposal of these things, but
I live at 71 168th Avenue. I am the property that, the homestead that is right on the very east edge of this property. Lived there for 25 years. I guess some of the pictures that they showed with the existing solar panels and no trees around, nothing, less than any one of those. They talked a distance house to the solar panel, 7 feet or whatever the number was. That's from my house, not my property line. Additionally, they talked about the 4 rows of trees that were going on the south and a little bit of the east side of the property. Those 4 rows stop at my property line. There's only 2 rows at my property line. I'm the closest house, and yet the trees don't continue through my property. I'm sure that each and every one of you probably said sometime in your campaign that you're here to represent the people of Sioux Falls and Minnehaha County. Well, there's 30 people that signed an appeal to this deal from Sioux Falls and Minnehaha County that you agreed to represent. And haven't heard from one proponent of this project from Sioux Falls or Minnehaha County.
Power to bring to first, and I'm not speaking on my behalf. It's not Randy. We're talking. In fact, involved in did a click and a left. So, but to mention, we are definitely in favor of alternative resources. Our citizens, just like all of you folks, we realize $7 panels. That's unique agricultural land west. Same facility exists in the desert, California, Arizona. These pictures they show often next to the airport, or the lot facility is the one over in College that includes 1A, which is fourth county. Question agreement, and any claiming that they had lied to us, but certainly when we asked them questions, you need deep in this. There's going to be rows of. I'll be clear. Those are lied. 12 panel is high. Work in this frame, and an 18-inch tree is about the size as my stands in front of me. So let's fool ourselves that there's a nice scene, and I'll give you answers to that. Well, this facility, let's side action. Pictures showed Clayton, Minnesota, Colorado, for like nice facilities. Unfortunately, Cherry Creek did not build those. Firm had built a site facility. They put panels on slumber furniture, pieces of that, and he asked, no, acres sitting in culture. For only home. If you think about it, 35 for each, it does seem that it should be paying for one home. That's the reason. They're visible for planning and zoning meeting. There were and if you look from your right to your left, about where the sign is, how many one house? Imagine 35 house in your front neighbor, and from your front on top of your roof is dilute the fact that it's not saying logical should take panel or one single. In years, I'd like what happened after you get in. I would. That's what's going to happen in the solar industry. People in years continue to evolve because without a tax, you should not need acres to power homes. Why? How many in 5? A good. There's 3 specific examples that we've touched to where we don't been coming at trees around a harm agency. So one you're up that solar at a buffer. All they on 500 feet because do that over your property line. Turns out that's not what they were doing. They were doing because of the issue area. They all have building panels. Talked about the fact that they've never referring concerns from any other facility built. I agree with that. As I in the morning, where have you facility? They built them on slumberland furniture, building shops. Don't own this to build around that. That you doing. About it. Question about that. These are grass roads. Facilities in Minnesota are next to surface. I've 5 years, many of mine have. I watch our life frequently. I would venture to say any in the city of Sioux Falls because I've ever seen a road generates driveway. Happen panels too. They also have how much usage of the Minnesota filings that they had. Probably 200 days structure with what this estimated 100 truck. Again, they can tell that. In the state of Minnesota, if you look at their file, find that that's 1,000 that's coming. Also, the walls panel, they haven't mentioned anything about here. Just one. Those are extreme dash series the gravel in our area and it gets wet and really sloppy and you put 40,000, they need surface for facilities. Where's this? 18 inches, it's going to be $25,000. That's 0.1, and I emphasize 0.1% of the project's total cost of $20 million. Worth more than that in the county of Aha and 1 mile from Falls. 10,000 are wide chain link fence. They never consider the trees. All they offered to any trees until an appeal was filed. Chair not work landowner mentioned to continue to address concerns. Initiated one meeting to our meetings and have never had success. Not initiated than one initial up the 8th Street. Also, the consistency, the zoning board additional in Oberg required landscape to put open screen in event landowner. That more by more than percent. Here's trees. It's not vision any going to be to a in this. So we challenge that statement and more plant a 6-foot tree. Yes. It's outside of why are they as people within 1 mile of the city? There's literally 50 residents easily within 1 mile of the existing city line. Also, why 70,000 panels? This is the first facility challenge that can use permit. The facility has ever been with the new ordinance. Why into a unknown? Let's where Creek not meeting had they sent anyone that I don't but you usually get 1,000 holes just in the cell. It's going to be glare poles that company panel as well. So they said there's glare on the panels. I would agree the panel glare. Realize plus the right first Sioux or the south if throughout the west. We're not a desert in this. There's no Dakota, Minnehaha County, Sioux more than 1% putting into the ground. They're willing to being a good neighbor. We don't believe it comes from how trust for about later we'll report if it's too much damage. Very creative, limited ability corporation. They experience this if they even a 1 acre facility where land use and there is no, why should us in time a match? We would ask to disapprove the conditional permit and let's run this.
Eighth, how much of a setback are we going to have? In the previous discussion, it was mentioned 268th Street, but let's not forget that's 57th Street extended, and that'll be a pretty busy street as we go down the road. But my main concern today is enforcement, and that is during construction, and the previous speaker hit upon it, our roads are going to take quite a hit. And of course, after it's constructed, then are we going to have maintenance workers, I assume?
Oh, that facility acres were panels. The parcel, I believe, is about 140 acres. This, it says in here, and this is a quotation by Scott Anderson. It says that this project would take up about 300 acres. Why did he say 300 acres when we're talking about 100 acres? Well, I have a suspicion. The landowner who owns this land also owns 160 acres directly to the west. Now, I know we're here to just talk about this parcel, but we also have talked about how large of a footprint this is going to leave as is. Just imagine if there's some validity to what he said here about 300 acres.
Mr. Cooper. My question is, if this was for some side limit, what do we require? Do we allow this? That's something I was thinking about. We're going to be deciding on
different way. 2030 growth area, a quarters mile farther west than the current city limits in this area. But to answer your original question, this use is not currently allowed within our municipal boundaries.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mike, I just had a question. So you're saying that it would not, your growth pattern, it does not end up in the city limits of the Sioux Falls by 2035? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, based on our current comprehensive plan projection.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, could I ask a question?
Yep. Councilor Karski. No, excuse me. Kylie. I'm sorry. Too many Ks.
Thank you. And just to recap, this isn't my question, but I believe Mr. Cooper said that it'd be within a get the down.
Our project.
Scott. Geronimo, would you come back and answer any questions
If that is a sticking point, we're happy to extend the 3-row or the 4, technically I guess it'd be 4-row at this point, trees by his property, that's fine. I did want to make sure that that is clear, that that is not something that is withholding us from this process. Let's see. The traffic, I wanted to clarify.
Additional.
And the first, second layer, city engineer As in church, that's see it. Give the commission required put taking it so it has the person to have the
exchange agreement and then the decommissioning that they, if that an agreement to sell their product, and then the were no longer object.
I think my
no matter what, they'll be
right. I think those are pretty.
And I saw
Strain. I'm not answer satisfying and address since not and
talked about how you didn't want to be further out due to loss of power, but it also was right as energy.
What about now? And when you were in Sioux Falls and visited the park scale, understand to this, and I did it in my own little way here in Google Maps, and I saw that I thought that this looked, the square of this project actually looks pretty similar to our Empire Mall. If you take 41st Street in Louise, go all the way down to 49th Street, and then go up to the Interstate 29, that square is the size of the land that we're talking about. I don't know that I'm out of school and speaking like that, but I'm trying to give the rest of us who live in the city some perspective about the scale of this project. It is a land use issue. We got to keep that in our brains. It isn't whether they are a good company or aren't. In my mind, it's about land use. We've got a sewer line that's over on that west side of town that we've spent millions of dollars to put there, so that we've got a growth plan for our city. And one other question. Sorry, Tina. The neighbors around it. If other issues like this, if we were building a 24-hour truck stop at one of these corners, the neighbors would say, I don't want that either. I don't want semis coming in here. But at 2 in the morning, I need a gallon of milk. There's some way I can go get some milk. There's an upside to some of it. The solar farm provides, if I understand it, really no upside to the adjoining neighbors. I mean, you're not providing free energy to them, are you?
No.
You're not offering.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, but that is not the first time we've received that question.
Welcome. I'm just trying to think out loud here about the impacts to the neighbors, and South Dakota is ginormous, and there's plenty of places where there's no neighbors, and there's transmission lines crossing our state. I'm struggling with this.
Having the and for options is a very easy thing to do. And so I guess I ask you to think about the opportunity, what we have before you today for those 20 years, and then what you could do with that after the 20 years.
Does he do the it's going to hit half in reference to the issue?
It would be, you know,
Quick research on it. I think it's 180 after it's done. I think that may be right. You will.
account that
Credit doesn't.
area of the interconnection with the local area, with, you know, how close we are to the city. And so we probably, I want to say at least the section, if not a lot larger than that. Sometimes we send out, you know, 30 letters and see what kind of a response we get.
Body at this point. I like to also I've sketched amendments to just to the group. Them amendments ready to kind of go. We are ready to go there. Okay. If I might, is that all right? Looking at the 7 by the commission, I would propose, and this is not a special amendment. This is a conversation. I would propose number 8. Something that amendment will be limited, instructional activity will be allowed until just a ability realize limits that. I think we need that.
Those electric
purchase with ability. Then I would population is a proposed ordinance. This ordinance does have conditioning in it and does developing a decommissioning plan have to be according to for 120 construction. So where that building will be and no is and why that finding that protect city case
trying to get it figured out, sorted out. Now, on one our belt, maybe make it a lot easier. But we're under a lot now to say, and detail exactly. It's a question about the project. We don't. The act is under sort of to get the project going because you can see the contract and it's going to get up. And essentially the benchmark that sets the criteria going forward. Just this back project. So I account these in our Google Map looking at the list I was looking at the years. There's some those they're all mature. I know do it right, and we can buffer and protect the objective.
Have today solar farm. It's like 3 size one, maximum 100 acres of on tech, and part of my and address glare you would be able to win off of it. We'll call it difficult. We would, although there's there certainly is a difference. Major rocks outside low the number not with my the city and the road that Jason paved similar with the dust and that nature. They were washing the panels only one time a year, really because of, and they were so different there. For me, I guess, regardless of interconnection track backup about landscaping on the property, decommissioning. To me, this still comes down to location, location, location. And I think it's the difference here again between this project and the one that I observed. I'm all for going green. I'm a former biology teacher. Which side do you think I'm going to land on? But in this particular case, the close proximity to the city of Sioux Falls, you know, I think that it might not be a problem for us now, but it's going to be a problem for future councils down the road. And it just seems to me that
taking at again Cooper's statement on the 2009 survey for the 2035 growth plan. Of course, we know that that growth has increased, so we may be even closer to the edge of this facility in 2035. Also, have experience on my time on the XL Energy Advisory Board and was on the board when the Minnesota PUC mandated that XL Energy increase their energy portfolio, and it was solar in Minnesota, but south of Sioux Falls is included in that district. So I can see where a company like this is working with XL in other places and possibility here. But once again, my concern is the location and how close it is to the city and how it's going to change that whole atmosphere out there for the people who are living out there, and the impact that it will have on the roads and just the difference that it's going to make. So I agree with Councilman Jameson. I really have concerns over this and would like to see this deferred at least until our next meeting, so that we can do some studying on this and maybe come up with some other ideals, or, you know, through staff have other recommendations that need to be made.
Casually, the careful can be a little more than we, and so I get to say we should this night. Geronimo,
decommissioning by me. Did a lot of attention to it, putting in things like that, and not. There's the bond or post, for instance, the black or yes, but we're in from a good so I
I think defining it is a way up it. It's tonight meeting. Shoot. Perfectly the enemy good and
permit construction. The state.
You fiduciary responsibility of the $20 to the community and to the taxpayers. I don't think that we've defined in detail what we expect them to do with the decommissioning. I don't think that the conversation with, frankly, I've found somewhat flippant answers on the wiring and being able to represent the owners and the purchase agreement and the on discussions, look at more details. The details aren't available. I like the third put how and that on hone a little bit and
this. We don't do this business when it comes to all managing this. What do we objects that are just in the grass? Is how maybe the City of Falls or just a little worse. Also, you had the investors 20 in. You think this we're contesting nothing. Maybe
Those two.
On 8 and 9.
Okay. For procedure reasons, there was a motion to approve this conditional unit.
So-
That was going to understand only
just go start building. Not know. Can't
Well, by legal counsel, the county has an opportunity to read the motion.
I mean,
Second. We have legal counsel.
well, I can't, but
where this, the county decided, the commission, councilors, I think, talked a bit about rural once, and the county is to that. Of the county then going forward is they get and they back with the events, the organization, and it also the coming. It's for time, or let them make another proposal.
Do meet the amounts that were forward, but that doesn't change anything with the location of this particular project. I would encourage
randomly talking about based on could have can count. I think our to board and